Hello, and welcome to today's episode of In the Moment. I'm your host, Michael Clark, certified life coach, former therapist, and owner of Clark Coaching Services. I was a therapist for 8 years of my career and have been a life coach for almost 2 years now, and I just want to give back and share my knowledge and experience with you to try to help navigate this thing we call life. Thank you in advance for listening, and I'm so glad you're here.
Hello, and welcome everyone to In the Moment podcast. As you can see, I have a guest with me again today, Dean. And sometimes we forget about, during the holiday seasons especially, sometimes we forget about those little creatures that we consider our fur babies, as it were, during the holiday season. So I wanted to bring Dean onto the podcast to talk about a fantastic cause and what he's doing to really help those that we still consider our furry family, as it were. So, Dean, I will let you introduce yourself and we'll go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Michael. So I'm Dean Daubert. I'm the president and CEO of Anderson Humane. We're located in South Elgin at 1000 South of Fox. And we also have an adoption center in Bloomingdale on Army Trail Road inside the Petco, and cats in several of our Petco locations in the area. In addition to that, we have a wildlife rehabilitation facility out in Elburn, Illinois, in the Forest Preserve, where we'll care for thousands of wild animals every year and get them back into the environment after they're healthy. So a lot going on here at Anderson Humane.
And that's one of the things that really intrigue me about the services that you do, the wildlife thing. So we're going to talk about the shelter, but tell me more about the wildlife things that you're doing in terms of helping those animals.
Yeah, and it's interesting. A lot of people, you don't think about what happens with a injured or orphaned wild animal until you find one, right? So if you see a rabbit with a hurt leg, or a raccoon that's not doing well, who do you call? And there's a number of wildlife, small wildlife rehabilitation centers in the area, but we're certainly the largest in Kane County. We're the second largest in the state, behind DuPage, with rehabbing animals. And so a lot of times, that it's an area that we are very proud, as we look at all animal life and all animal welfare, that we're able to provide this service. Now, you may know us as Fox Valley Wildlife.
Yeah.
We merged with them back in late 2019. And so for the last almost 6 years, we have been operating as a joint con under Anderson Humane.
Oh, very cool. Okay, I didn't know you had merged with another facilities. With that, so how large are you at this point? I know you mentioned a couple of different locations and facilities that you manage that are available, but how much have you grown over the past years or what have you?
Yeah. So we are celebrating our 60th anniversary. February 14th, we start our 60th anniversary. So we've
Oh my
already
God, did you
started
say 60?
60. Yeah,
My
60
goodness. Okay.
years serving the community. And, we started out as, like little municipal shelter for strays, right?
Yeah.
Or shelter for strays. People bring their stray animals here, 7 days, not adopted, whatever, they would. And we've just grown into this organization that, our scope is pretty large. We have over 70 employees, counting in our different facilities. We will adopt out 35, we're actually over 3,500 dogs, cats, kittens, and puppies this year in adoptions. So we'll probably do 3,700 adoptions this year. We bring in animals, of course, from the local surrenders. We bring in animals from local shelters. We pull from Chicago Animal Care and Control, some from Kane County, some from Aurora, and about 14 others in the local area, as well as dozens throughout the United States.
Right.
We've even taken international dogs before.
Oh wow.
When they shut down the Korean meat trade, we took some animals. So, we're really a national, have an impact on the nation and at home here. So it's a pretty large scope. Not to mention, or I should mention also, that we have a pretty large veterinary facility that cares for thousands of animals with spay and neuter and vaccines. So we're not general practice for the public, but if someone needs a spay or neuter or they need life-saving vaccines, to help prevent those easily preventable diseases, they can come sign up for us online, and we're about half the cost of what a regular vet would cost, and up to free thanks to a grant from the Milstein Foundation if
Right.
someone shows us a financial need. So that's a huge impact on keeping animals in their home, which as animal welfare advances and spay and neuter becomes more common, and so there's less unwanted stray animals, there's still always going to be life changes, right, that need animals replaced. But keeping animals in their home becomes a bigger priority for us every year.
Right,
And we have a
exactly.
lot of programs designed around that.
Oh my goodness, there's so much I want to talk to you about because this is fascinating to me. So, one of the things that I saw when I was there taking the tour is that I know you mentioned the number of staff that you have, but tell me about the volunteers and maybe how people can volunteer if they want to.
My gosh. Yeah. So, the staff, that sounds like a really large staff, but it's pretty distributed. And a
Hmm.
lot of that's part-time as well. We wouldn't have near the impact that we're able to and save the amount of lives that we're able to without our dedicated volunteer staff. So already this year, we're over 65,000 hours of volunteer work,
Wow.
just January through December 1st.
Okay.
So we'll probably be closer to that 75,000 hours. I want to say, without doing the math, that's about 28 or 29 full-time equivalents. And people, so these are folks that come in and they do everything from, helping us clean dogs and cats and walking to feeding and enrichment, which is super important in the shelter environment. We have a dedicated team of volunteers that come in and they just provide enrichment for our animals through novel feeding. So,
Okay.
they'll take a cardboard egg carton and put food in that and let the
Okay.
dogs tear it up and eat their dinner out of that. They're not going to get hurt by the cardboard. That's fine. Most of them don't eat it, but if they do, that'll pass.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just fine. And then they'll make those games tougher and tougher and tougher for those dogs. And, so that it becomes more of a mind game for them. And
Okay.
that's really stimulating. All of our dogs get 4 walks a day minimum.
Oh wow.
There is no standard, but a lot of struggle with shelter to get, a couple of walks. Our volunteers come in and they get 4 walks a day, oftentimes more.
Got it.
Our volunteers will take their dogs out on doggy day outs. They'll take them there's a couple forest preserves within a couple
Mhm.
miles of us. And they'll take them out all the time to do that. We have what we call level 2 volunteers who take 6 weeks of classes that are an hour and a half each. And they're almost little dog trainers by the time they come out of that
Okay.
class. They are so valuable. They'll help work with our dogs that need behavior intervention, working out a
Yeah.
specific training plan with them. We also have folks that work with our cats. We have very dedicated volunteers that come in and clean the cat kennels,
All right.
cat condos, as we like to call them.
Okay.
But then they're there throughout the day, opening the cage, letting them out, letting them run around, playing wand with them, or just letting them sit in their lap and get some cuddles. Um, so there's so much enrichment that goes into those animals. And then we have volunteer opportunities in wildlife, in rehab. So if you have an interest in maybe veterinary work or going into anything, biology or ecology, it's a great place to volunteer or do an internship at. You learn you learn so much about our native fauna,
Right.
how to feed baby birds, how to feed raccoons, how to, just provide that care. And in the summertime, our volunteers, right now it's kind of the slow season for wildlife. We get
Okay.
some injured and, animals that are impacted by the cold and the weather.
Right.
But when baby season comes, they're feeding baby birds every 15 minutes from sun up to sundown. I guess
And
mom
I'm
birds
sure
stop
that is
feeding.
just adorable as well. So yes.
It is for us when I come and watch it, but it's a
Right.
lot because you're going from baby bird with these little tweezers and these
Yeah.
little mealworms. Boom, here you go, here you go, here you go.
Yeah.
Right? And then they
Exactly.
go on to the next bird and they'll have, 50, 60, 70 birds that they're feeding
Wow.
in there, taking care of them. And then of course the raccoons, we have a little rack system. We'll put the milk bottles in there, put the
Okay.
racks down. We got just like baby calves,
Yeah.
right? They're eating on those. And we cared for 90 raccoons this year,
Wow.
and still have some that are going to overwinter with us, and they're just amazing little animals that are great for our ecology as well.
And one of the things you mentioned is that not only just the feeding, but the playtime is also important. in terms of making sure that they're active and happy. And because sometimes people forget about that, or ignore, even people that have pets in their own homes. I mean, they get a pet for their child or the family, and all of a sudden they realize the responsibility, and it's there, but it's just kind of off to the side, and people don't play with them. That play is so important. So I'm glad you actually mentioned that as well, in terms of having the cats like come out and playing with the wand, and playing with the dogs and things like that, because that is vital to just not only the welfare of the animal, but from a psychological and emotional standpoint, because you know me, I'm all about psychology and the emotional impact. It's important for us as humans as well to have that connection and be able to really kind of take a break from everything else, all the stresses that we're dealing with, and really kind of have that playtime, and be able to focus on something else other than doing laundry or going grocery shopping or what have you.
It is. It's important. So there's a lot of benefits to the individual
Mhm.
in, having a pet companion
Yeah.
in your home. So I shared on my LinkedIn wrote an article for my LinkedIn just recently about a study that I read
Mhm.
that they I think it was like 4,000 people that they studied. They showed a lower risk of heart incidents,
Right.
lower mortality rates
Right.
for folks so this was dog specific, a lower mortality rates, and of course, more social interaction. Because when you think about it, I can talk to almost anybody that I meet and say, what kind of pets do you have?
Yeah.
What do you have? Right. And it's an instant social bond. And you talk about your animals. So 70% of US households have pets in them.
Yeah.
Right. So you automatically, and I don't know anybody that didn't have a pet as a kid
Yeah.
or at some point in their life. So there's probably a few out there, there's a certain percent, but
Yeah.
it's an instant connection with people. And I see that in our volunteer group all the time. And it's so heartwarming. We get a very diverse group of volunteers that come in, but there are also a lot of folks that maybe are older seniors that come in to volunteer with us.
Right.
And I see those connections form. And some of them are almost like family. We have a group chat that they're all in. And at least our level twos are in this group chat, and they're celebrating when a dog goes home or a cat goes home.
Well,
They're celebrating certain ones that have been here a while. So there's a lot of health benefits, both physically but also mentally. Having a cat or a dog lowers cortisol levels and heart rates, and of course, as you know, as cortisol is a stress hormone, right? That leads to many different problems in people, including heart disease and
yeah.
obesity. And so it lowers that, right? But
Yeah.
you know what's neat? Studies also show that when the animal interacts with us, their
Mhm.
cortisol levels go down as well. So it's a very
Interesting.
beneficial relationship.
That I did not know that. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely beneficial to humans, but yeah, beneficial to the animals as well. Because I'm sure some animals come to you stressed and in need and with difficulties. And I'm sure that's got to be heart wrenching as well, in terms of seeing that. So tell me a little bit about that in terms of the types of animals that do come into the shelter.
Yeah. So, puppies are puppies. They come
Yeah.
in, they're very adaptable. They're usually pretty good. But we get a lot of animals that are surrendered that have been in homes
Yeah.
for a year, 2 years, 5 years. And, we try not to judge when folks have to
Right.
surrender. That is a very traumatic, for most people, that's a very traumatic decision that they've come to have to surrender their animal. Sometimes it's because of no fault of their own. I'm seeing a lot of financial reasons right now. I have to move and my new landlord doesn't take pets. I can't find something that's affordable to have pets in right now. There's lots of different reasons. So, this is a traumatic thing for folks to have to make that decision. So when they come in, this is as much as we do, it can be a scary environment for them, right? They've been in a home that's maybe somewhat quiet. Now they're with other dogs and other cats, and
Yeah.
they're regimented, and there's people walking by those kennels all day long or those condos all day long. And so that quiet time or that interaction time that they get out and that mental stimulation is so important to keeping them healthy, active, and adoptable.
Okay.
So there's something called kennel stress. Fear, anxiety, stress is what we try to eliminate in our shelter. It's impossible. It's a shelter environment, but we do our best. We follow fear-free guidelines, which anybody can go on to Google fear-free, and you can take this course, especially if you're a volunteer at Anderson, it's free.
Okay.
So you can come and sign up to be a volunteer at ahconnects.org. But even if you don't, it's really good course that's going to tell you how to interact with your animal at their level.
Okay.
Little things like if your cat's in a carrier, how do you make them comfortable with that carrier? Get them up on the, and then put them up on a table so they're higher, right?
Yeah.
Give them a safe place to hide, high places to climb, that type of thing for your cat. For dogs, give them some agency, not forcing them to do things. You'll see people push the butt down on a dog, get them to sit, right?
Yeah.
And it tells you why that's probably not a fear-free concept, although people do that all the time, right?
Yeah.
So we follow those precepts here, and then when our staff works with those animals, they really keep that in mind and help calm them and make them adoptable. One of the things why it's highly desirable for folks to, when they do have to face that surrender decision, to bring them to Anderson Humane is we are a no-kill shelter. And we don't euthanize for space. Okay.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, euthanization is it's a reality in most shelters. I would challenge that any shelter that doesn't have to do that for the right reasons is got different struggles. We only euthanize for dangerous dogs or cats. It's not safe to put into a home, or medical. And that could include severe mental distress or medical that we just can't fix, right? And our euthanasia rate is above 90. Our save rate is above 98%. So it's north of 90. So it's really good. The standard to be called no kill, 90%.
Okay.
So we're well above that. So as we talk about why that's desirable to come here, some of our animals, if we are deeming them adoptable and safe to adopt and healthy, we've had cats that have been here a year and a half, so that enrichment time, that volunteer time, the staff time that they put into that enrichment is so important to prevent that kennel stress.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And keep them healthy and happy to adopt out when they do find their homes. And, we celebrate so hard when those animals that have been here a year and a half are finally
they get adopted.
and they find home.
And nice. So now, in addition to adoption, do you also offer fostering pets as well?
Over half of our animals are in foster programs.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So we have right now about 450 animals in our system. That includes dogs, cats, kittens, puppies, and some small animals, right?
Okay.
In the summertime, that can be up to 700 with all the kittens that we bring in, right? We don't physically have that many kennels in our shelter, right?
Yeah.
So we got space for about 60 dogs here at the shelter and 15 at Bloomingdale. And if it's puppies, maybe a few more than that.
Okay.
So the rest are all in foster homes. And in my mind, that is the absolute best place for any animal, is in a loving home while they're waiting to go into a loving home. Right. So we have a robust foster program. We've invested in people resources for that program. So when somebody signs up to be a foster for us, we want to make that as easy as possible. We don't try to make them jump through a ton of hoops, because we want them to take that animal in their home, and we want to make it easy for them.
Yeah, so that's one of the questions I wanted to ask in terms of what is that process like if someone wanted to become a foster parent?
Super easy. Go to ahconnects.org or Google Anderson Humane. Go to our website. There's a foster link. Click on that. You're going to sign up. You're going to fill out a form. It's not an application. It's really so that we can match you and get you the right animal for what your situation is. People aren't applying to foster. We're going to take everybody, unless there's red flags or something.
Right. Yeah.
They're going to foster. We're going to help them be successful in that. And then they're going to watch a video presentation that has all of our foster rules and best practices, the things that we follow. And then they're going to have a quick conversation with one of our foster coordinators, Marley, Deepa, or Arlene. And that's it. They're ready to foster. If they need supplies, we will supply them what they need.
Oh, wow.
If they can supply their own supplies, that's more resources for us. So yay. But if they can't, great. A couple things: fosters always get first dibs to adopt.
Okay.
So a lot of them fall in love with their animals. So the
Yeah.
caveat on that is they got to tell us before somebody else wants to adopt it, right?
Yeah.
So a lot
Yeah.
of our animals that are available for adoption are in a home already, and fosters will bring them in for those appointments. And as long as they have told us, hey, we want to adopt, they'll never be available. They'll just go right into their home. And as a matter of
Okay.
fact, I think we're the only one that does this, as far as I know of it, have
Okay.
leaned into that process. If you sign up to be a foster, you can see all the animals that are coming in to the organization that we know. So like there's 2-week wait lists a lot of times,
Right.
or we get transports for puppies or certain dogs from out of state or other areas. We put those on our website, and you can say, you know what? I want to adopt that dog, and I will foster it until it's ready for adoption, till it gets its spay and neuter, till we've deemed it, sees the
Oh,
vet,
wow.
and
Okay.
it's healthy. And in my mind, that is the perfect scenario. It goes into a loving home and
Yeah.
only has to come to the shelter for medical.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful thing. And, some processing, right? We got to get everything, paperwork all
Right.
set. But we've had like 25 dogs. We started this in June. I think we've had 25 dogs go through this process. We've had more that have, adopted, didn't plan to adopt and adopted,
Right.
probably
Yeah.
another 25 or 30 from that. But it's been a fairly successful program for us. And in my mind, it's the best way to have this happen,
Right.
right? And they're not obligated, right? I want to foster to adopt. Oh, this isn't working out, or there's
Yeah.
some issue. It doesn't like cats, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to work for me. Fine, we'll find. Thank you for fostering. We'll find, find it a home in the shelter. So yeah, we're really proud of our foster program. There's a lot of ways that people can communicate with us too.
Okay.
They'll give a chat that goes directly to our foster coordinators.
Okay.
They may work directly with our vets or our veterinary clinic staff if they have questions. And a
Okay.
lot of first-time fosters have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
My dog eating grass, is he going to be okay? Valid question if you're not experienced. Yeah, he's going to be fine. He's going to either throw it up or not. So they'll get those calls at, midnight.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
a lot of
Exactly.
coordination, but they're there to answer those calls. We want to answer those. We want people to be comfortable in their foster experience with us.
One of the things that just happened to me recently, probably around September, is that a good friend of mine, he takes in unwanted animals. Like I said, is one of his dogs has cataracts, and one of his cats has issue with a couple legs. So that's he and his wife. They don't have children, but that those are his children. So his mom unfortunately passed away earlier this year from cancer, and his mom had a cat, and the cat really did not get along with the other cats that he had in his home. So he was looking for a home for her, and it just so happened at that moment I was looking for a cat for my home. So we got to talking. Met Cassie is her name. I met Cassie a couple times, making sure that she liked me and I liked her, and that I wasn't allergic, because I am allergic to some cats. And she's been with me since September. And it's just the most, because I've had mostly dogs, but I've had 3 cats in my life since childhood, and this is the 3rd cat that I've had. And she is beautiful. I mean, she purrs, she's relaxing. Again, going back to the mental and emotional standpoint, in terms of just, it's very calming and peaceful. Especially, I mean, for me, my job is not super stressful. I love what I do. I love this. I love being a life coach. But sometimes I have those stressful days, and Cassie will come up to me, put her paw on my leg while I'm working, and of course I have to pick her up and pet her. Duh. And it's just very emotionally just stimulating, but in a relaxing way. So I totally get what you're saying in terms of those foster parents, and really kind of having that system that you have in place really work out well in terms of fostering animal and then turn into adoptions. It's just, once I looked at her, I'm like, okay, I have to have her, and she's working with me as well. So it is very commendable and understandable that the fosters go into adoption kind of right away.
Yeah, it's a good thing. We're seeing the trends, like being in the mental health field. There's this loneliness
Yeah.
epidemic with young people, where some of those connections, that when I was younger, we made a lot of more social connections. in
Yeah.
different ways. I think there's a lot of connections in different ways now, but
Yeah.
it's not that in-person physical. And there's this loneliness epidemic. And I think that a pet companion is a wonderful way to start to bridge some of that gap because they
Yeah.
give you that unconditional love.
Yeah.
Their needs and wants are pretty easy to figure out what they need and want, right? And sometimes that's just nothing, just being near you. I mean, that's
Yeah.
all a dog wants is to be near you. And our cat, cats can sometimes take you and leave you, but
Right. Exactly.
with you as well, right?
Yeah. Exactly. There you go.
In fact, you'll take those 10 or 15 gifts that they give you
Yep.
of lap time, and then some cats will be hours. They're fine with others.
Exactly.
Hours in there.
Exactly.
But, just to combat loneliness, and I think about seniors who
Yeah.
sometimes are afraid to bring a pet into the home. We adopt out to seniors all the time,
Okay.
even people that are advanced in years.
Mhm.
We just ask there's a plan, and that plan may be us, right? I
Yeah.
tell the story all the time of Snowflake. She was in my first year here. I've been here about 5 years, and
Okay.
Snowflake was my office dog, little
Okay.
pitty mix. And there was an older lady that wanted to come, a senior citizen that wanted to
Mhm.
come and adopt him. And I think she was 90 pounds soaking wet. And
Yeah.
Snowflake was a decent sized little pitty mix, and
Right.
would pull me a little bit. And I was really worried. And I thought, I'm letting this bias. I always talk to my staff about, don't have biases, listen to people. Most of the time folks are going to be a good fit with,
Yeah.
even if it's with some education. But I did a little extra. We don't check, you don't have to have a fenced yard or anything with most of
Okay.
our animals. But I went and helped her and checked her pets because she really wanted to adopt Snowflake. And we gave it a shot. And she was with Snowflake for a wonderful home, a dog that was with us for like 6 months in my office and had a few, like, I'm going to call them quirks, right?
Okay.
That
Yeah.
made her a little more difficult to adopt. And Snowflake, this lady loved Snowflake so very much. She would text me every day, at first 3 or 4 times a day, and then it got to be a week, and then a month, right?
Yeah.
But I'd still get those texts every month, right? Well, then I didn't get a text for a month, and I didn't notice it first. So about a month and a half went by, and I go, I heard from, so I
Yeah.
texted, and I got a text back. But then a week later, I got a call from the city of Elgin saying that she had passed away.
Oh, okay.
It's horrible,
Yeah.
right? And Snowflake was distraught, of course.
Yeah.
But I went over to the house with a couple of our staff, and she wouldn't let other people in the house. Immediately recognized us, jumped in my truck, came back, was in my office,
Yeah.
and it took about 3 weeks because she had had that time with her
Mhm.
adopter. I'm not saying the name on purpose. It's hard. She was such a better dog and
Okay.
able to, and she got adopted within a few weeks and had another home. And I think about what a difference Snowflake made in
Yeah.
her life for
Yeah.
that last year and a half of her life.
Yeah.
I know she loved that dog, and I know that it made such an impact. It's hard to talk about it because I almost want to tear up.
Yeah. Me too. Just like
But
just
it had
hearing it. Yeah.
such a good, outcome. And now, I met the folks that adopted her, Snowflake,
Mhm.
again, and it's been like 2 years now that she's been adopted again and is thriving in that home. But I think back to that story about that impact, and like, what if I hadn't have said, what if I had said, but my initial reaction was like, well, this is a big dog and you're not going to be able to no, we gave her the chance, and she did the right things,
Yeah.
and we were there to support her, probably a little bit more support than what we would normally give because, like, Snowflake was my office dog, right? She got the
Yeah.
extra attention, but huge impact on both their lives,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And such an amazing thing. So that's what it's all about. It's all about those human animal connections. And I'm a lot of times I'm a number guy, right? How many adoptions are we doing? How many staff do we have? What's our payroll? I got to worry about all those things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's those Snowflake stories that make all the difference in
Which
the
I
world.
love. It's just like, I mean, I would almost love to end on that story, but I still have more questions for you. But that was one.
Keep
Thank you
going.
for
Maybe I'll
sharing.
have another one for you.
There you go. Exactly. So one of the things you did mention was the veterinary services that you offer.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Again, I don't know a lot of about a lot of shelters that are there, but it I don't. it would seem to me that not a lot of them have the type of veterinary services like on site that you have. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. Our veterinary. So we have a vet that comes into our shelter and works with us as well.
Yeah.
It's Anderson Vet.
Yeah.
And also we have a clinic that's about 8 minutes from here on Randall Road. And the reason that we have that there is we just didn't have the space here to do the low cost clinic. So we run a
Okay.
low cost. It's for vaccinations and it's for spay and neuters. And
Okay.
we'll do some dentals, although that's booked out quite a ways in the future for the
Okay.
dental. So we don't have a lot of capacity for that. And it's about half the price of what you would pay at your normal vet for anybody to use. So if you and I want to use that, that's totally fine. If
Sure.
someone has a financial need, we are sponsored by the Milstein Foundation, and they
Sure.
will help offset that cost up to free
Wow.
for
Okay.
those spay and neuters. Vaccines are so important. They prevent such easily preventable
Yeah.
diseases, and their legal requirements as well.
Yeah.
So it's a barrier for some folks to keeping that pet in the home because uh, veterinary costs have gone up 45% in the last 5 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that, as a matter of fact, a lot of people are skipping, some of their vet visits because of those
Because of the
costs
cost.
or delaying them, right? So while as we don't have the capacity because these vets also see our internal animals, we can have the capacity for those surgeries and those vaccines. So it's
Okay.
not like a general practice clinic, but it does provide thousands of these low cost services every year to the public. And the goal of that is to keep those animals in their homes.
Yeah. Okay. And keep them safe and healthy. So yeah.
Safe, healthy in their homes. Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't want someone to have to surrender because they couldn't afford at least that medical care.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
The other thing that we do to help keep animals in their home is our food pantry.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Started this about, I've been saying a year ago, but I think it was actually 2 years ago, almost a year
Okay.
and a half ago. But anybody can come in during our open hours of our adoption hours, right? We usually weekdays 12,
Okay.
weekends Saturday and Sunday 11 to 5. And if they need food for their animal, they're going to go home with food for their animal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And if they need other supplies and we have them, we'll send them home with those supplies. Just grocery prices have gone up. Cost of
Yeah.
care, veterinary care has gone up. I would rather supply somebody with food than have them be forced to surrender their animal and break up
Yeah.
their family.
Got it. Okay.
And here's another story. We have a veteran from an Afghanistan veteran
Okay.
who has post-traumatic stress
Yep. PTSD.
PTSD.
Yeah.
And he has difficulty leaving his house. And he called us to surrender his 2 dogs, as a wife and 2 small children.
Yeah.
In the home. And our team here is so good. Our intake team, I'm so happy with them. They ask a lot of questions. First
Okay.
question is, what can we do to help keep this animal in the home? Is there anything we can do? And he shared with us that the medical and the feeding his dogs, and he had to make a choice between feeding his animals or feeding his family. And of course,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And our team says, hey, we can help with that. So they take him. We found a volunteer. We don't usually deliver food,
Yeah.
but we found a volunteer to take food to his home as needed,
Oh,
usually
wow.
once a. And what a difference that program makes for him and his family, right? Can you imagine you got
Yeah.
you're struggling with some things to begin with.
Yeah.
You have 2 children that love their pets. He
Yeah.
uses those animals as emotional support for all the reasons we've talked about, his wife as well. And now
Yeah.
he's able to keep those animals
Yeah.
in his because of this program. So it's a great thing. What an impact for those girls the rest of their whole lives, right?
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful thing. And those are the things that kind of keep us going when we have the rougher days here at the shelter.
Yeah, exactly. Now, with that, do you also take donations of pet food?
Yeah, that
Okay.
most of the food that's in our pet food pantry is donated food for us. So,
Okay.
we'll use donated food for our animals as well. We always are accepting anything made by Mars. So Mars is the pedigree and Iams and Eukanuba.
Okay.
Anything in that brand of food
Okay.
we'll use for our internal animals, and anything else that's donated we use for our food pantry. And we also support other food pantries. So we have our own, but we donate food, anything that is above and beyond what we estimate we're going to need goes to food for Greater Elgin or fish, so that folks that are shopping for their families
Okay.
can also get pet food there as well. And they
Got it.
come
Now,
once a week.
if someone wanted to donate food, would they just come to the shelter or any one of your
You could
facilities?
bring it right to the shelter. You could have
Okay.
Chewy deliver it to the shelter. Sam's Club will deliver it to the shelter.
Okay.
Walmart will deliver it to the shelter.
Okay.
A lot of people actually opt to do that because they don't have to go to the store and pick it up. We'll put out a plea
Right.
for food or whatever, and we'll get the Chewy boxes or the Petco boxes or the PSP boxes come in. So
Got
it's
it.
yeah, they could bring that right to the shelter, or our Bloomingdale location as well will accept food.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, so let's kind of start wrapping up. Again, I could talk to you for hours because I love this cause. I love what you're doing for these animals. So, anything else you want to? Also going to ask to make sure you give your the shelter address and contact information and how to reach out to you as well. I know we gave it once, but we'll give it in. But before that, anything else you want to kind of close out with or mention that we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, a couple of small other programs that we have. We have a program called STAR program. It's called Short-Term Animal Refuge. Now, this is a very small, targeted program, and it serves two very different communities. One, it serves victims of domestic violence and people that are maybe unhoused. Now, it's a small program because they have to be working with one of our partner organizations like Hesed House, Common Ground, Lazarus House, and they have to be able to share with us a plan to get back out, because it can't just be, hey, I'm losing my house, take my dogs for an undetermined amount of time, or my cats. But we've had a lot of luck when we put those structures into place. We will try to find a foster, so we got to be able to find a foster for those animals, but we're pretty successful with it. And we'll keep those animals 12, 18, 3-4 months, weeks, until they get back on their feet into a home. As you know, a lot of victims of domestic violence will not leave because that's a lever point, right? Those animals are a lever point where they're afraid for them. So this is a very valuable service. Again, at any given time, we can only have 3 or 4 animals into the program, but there's always 3 or 4 animals in the program. And what a wonderful thing when you see those animals reunited after a period of time and they're in a loving home. They might have to be in the shelter for a couple of days while they're changing fosters or whatever. We also offer that program to military deployed veterans that are on a year or less deployment. So if it's a change of duty station, that's different. But if it's a short-term deployment for a year or less, we'll make every attempt to find that foster. Now, that's a little dependent on finding a foster, but we're very successful with it for most dogs. So that's one program. And we also offer training classes. This year, we're reducing our fees for our training classes so that they're more affordable for folks. We offer, especially for puppy and middle school, which is your kind of 2 introductory classes. And then we have other classes that maybe have a higher price fee, but we feel it's really important for dogs primarily. But one of the second biggest reason for them being returned to the shelter is behavioral issues, right? And the best way to do that is to take a fear-free training course through Anderson Humane and get that animal off to a great start.
Now, with that training course, are you training the animal alone or training the animal with their owner?
With their owner. Because if I work with a dog for 2 weeks in my office and, taught them, if it's not followed through, if those cues aren't followed through, or if someone is rewarding negative behavior and just don't understand that that's what they're doing, and it's very easy to do. They don't think they're rewarding negative behavior, but they might be, then it's not worth. So you're really training the person on how to train their dog. That was a great question, because we're not training the dog for you. We're going to give you the tools to work with your dog. And it's important, and we're hoping that will help get these animals off to a great start in their home. So that's like I said, another important program. And we talked about volunteers before. It's some folks may feel, I don't think I have the ability to clean or to maybe walk the dogs, but we have everything from transport drivers to people that help us with some administration functions. We have people that go out and ask for donations for our gala, right?
Right. Okay.
And those are all valuable, very valuable things. We have a volunteer that's kind of in a leadership role here at the shelter. She coordinates our intake, our volunteers for intake, and she
Okay.
coordinates that. You might have met her when you're here, Deb Stakey. She
Yeah.
coordinates all of the enrichment. So there is a volunteer opportunity for almost everybody. So don't think, oh man, I don't think I could handle cleaning kennels or
Right.
walking dogs or working with the cat. There's other opportunities that are available for people.
Now, going back to your training for a second, do you also are these how do you train the trainers? So do you train people to be trainers for the program?
Our
Does
trainers
that
are all
does that question make sense?
yeah.
Okay,
Where
got
our trainers come from. So usually I'll hire we have had some folks that have gone through the classes. So
okay,
we don't have a program that certifies the trainers.
got it. Okay,
People that are going through different training classes generally have to get so many hours
got it.
logged before they become a certified trainer,
Yeah,
before they can teach classes. So a lot of times those folks will come and work with our trainers. Sometimes we hire them in afterwards.
got it. Okay.
Sometimes an employee might want to go through that program on their
Yeah,
own and then work with us at the shelter to log those hours. And then we've had a number of them become trainers as
okay,
well. They're all certified trainers.
perfect.
Which requires a lot of work on their part. It's not
Yeah,
the easy.
I
It's
know
not the
when
easiest thing in the world.
I had a Siberian Husky at one point. Beautiful, beautiful dog. And we decided to, have her, trained and train with her. I forgot the name of the facility, but the amount of time that it takes to train and then work with her and making sure you're utilizing the positive reinforcement. I mean, it was definitely worth it, but I have to hand it to those trainers in terms of the work that they do and dealing not only, as you said before, not only with the animal, but mostly with the people. That can be difficult in itself, to say the least.
Yeah, training when you have a dog or if you train a cat, cats are very trainable. It's like a never ending thing. It's you have training sessions that you're going out and you're working on skills, and that's
Right.
very 20-minute sessions are the ideal time limit for that. But again, it's very easy to reward things that you don't want to reward. You want to be constantly
Yeah.
working on those. So training should be kind of part of your routine, and that is good. Dogs like structure. They like a routine. They like just things, and I'll tell people, is this going to air before, if this airs before the holidays, but even if
Yeah,
for
well,
next year, gifts for dogs, a great
yeah,
way to say is, hey, we're going to go to the shelter after the holiday or
yeah,
26th we're open
yeah.
and do an adoption for a dog or a cat. That is a great way if you don't want to, if you're worried about how you're going to manage that, Christmas present opening
Yeah.
is a great way to do that. And for a lot of times, a lot of shelters won't do gift adoptions,
Okay.
but we don't necessarily automatically say no to that. We're going to
Okay.
have a conversation and we're going to determine whether we feel like that's going to be a good fit,
Yeah.
right? Then sometimes they come back, and as long as they come back quickly and we can adopt them out again, that's fine. I'd rather have those
Yeah.
animals in a loving home. So we
Exactly.
try to make it easy to adopt. We are very open with our adoption processes.
Yeah.
We're going to have a conversation. We're going to ask you if you've talked to your landlord, if you rent, and
Right.
if you know that you can have, maybe a pity mix. We have other animals in pity mixes, but if it's a pity mix, we'll ask that question.
Right.
But we're going to trust you.
Okay.
We're not going to check. You don't have to have a fenced backyard for 90% of our dogs. There's a
Yeah.
few that we know need a fenced backyard. They're the only ones, right? You're going to figure it out. We're going to give you advice. We're going to try to help match you. So we want to make it easy process
Yeah.
to adopt with us. And once it's an Anderson animal, it's always an Anderson animal. We can't, if it doesn't work out, we will always take the animal back. Now, every kennel, dog and cat, has a plan for it when an animal's adopted. There's animals waiting to come in, as I shared earlier.
Right.
So if you call me and say, I need to return my dog, and it might not be today
Right.
unless
Yeah.
it's emergency. Might be okay, give us till Wednesday when we
Right.
have a
Yeah.
space opening up. But we
Fair
make
enough.
that commitment to our animals because of the open adoptions, right?
Fair
Because we
enough.
want them to have a chance in a home.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. So again, Where are you located, and how would people get a hold of you or the shelter or what have you?
You can Google Anderson Humane. We're going to come right up. We are located at South Elgin, Illinois, 1000 South LaFox Street. Our website is ahconnects.org if you want to go directly. All of our programming is on there. All of our adoptable animals are on our website. If the dog is on our website or the cat is on our website, they're available for adoption. They come off of that website within an hour of adoption. It's automatically linked. As soon as it's processed, they're off the website.
Nice.
Click on the fosters to see animals that are coming in. Our training program information, our wildlife information is on there. All of our contact numbers are on there. You could call us, but we'll usually return your call. 847-697-2880 is our phone number. The best way, though, is to email us because I don't have a lot of receptionist staff that are at phones. They're dealing with the animals, and email's always a lot quicker. But we'll get back to you if you do call us.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And this was wonderful. I love chatting with you about this stuff. So yeah, anything else?
I so appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Michael. It's been wonderful to get to know you, and thank you for helping us spread the word. Yeah. This is how we gain financial support. We are not government funded. We are only supported by the donations from the public. So we can also donate online too, folks out there, and help out with those various programs because they are very, very expensive to run, and your money goes a long way.
All right, Pat. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure to speak with you as well. Thank you so much, Michael.
All right, take care.
All right, bye-bye.